some sense. There are tons of ideas and teachings and preachings on Babylon. Some of them, you know, I don't know what people's agenda is. We're going to look at that today. The golden cup. Let's turn to Revelation 17. Revelation 17 will be in verse 1, and it reads, "And there came one of the seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth had been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, decked with gold and precious stones and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery Babylon, the Great, the mother, the harlots of abominations of the earth. And I saw the woman drunken with the blood of the saints, with the blood of the martyrs of Yahshua. And when I saw her, I wondered with great admiration. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman, and the beast that carrieth her, which had 7 heads and 10 horns. The beast that thou sawest was and is not, and shall ascend out of the bottomless pit, and go into perdition. And they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. And there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, one is, the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th, and is the 7th, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings, 1 hour with the beast. These have one mind, and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called the chosen and faithful. And he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest, with the whore sitting, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Yah hath put in their hearts to fulfill his will, and to agree and give their kingdom unto the beast, until the words of God shall be fulfilled. The woman which thou sawest is the great city, which reigneth over the kings of the earth. That was Revelation 17, 1 through 8. And I guess I can show this. I mean, probably, if you got bad eyes, sorry. But, you know, we're talking about this cup, the cup of Babylon, the golden cup of Babylon, and it's mentioned for a reason, okay? Now, when I was younger, and when I was in college, you know, we used to have cups too, okay? If you're a 80s baby, and you remember Lil Jon and them, Pimp C and them, you know, you go out and you go party, you got your cup, don't you? You got your cup decked off with jewels on it, sipping stuff out of it. You had your cup when you go out and go party and kick it, right? Then all of a sudden, but you sitting here walking around with a cup that is descriptive in the book of Revelation.
Right.
So we talk about Babylon today. We're not going to be sitting here talking about, oh, America, oh, Mecca. We're going to expose a Babylonian system. A Babylonian system. You see this cup is one of the bishops or cardinals. The golden cup. We have our little picture here of a whore on a beast with a golden cup. That was pretty interesting. Okay, then we read Revelation 17. The book of Revelation, for your own information, was probably written towards the end of the first century, so anywhere from 81 AD to 96 AD. And I say probably because it could have been written earlier, but more than likely 50 to 60 years after the death and resurrection of Mashiach. Okay, so this is after, a good time after Mashiach. So, somebody could have been living around that time and now they're a grandparent. Okay, so about 50 to 60 years later. Rome, the Roman Empire was the threat. Okay, that was the power, that was the authority throughout the known earth at the birth, execution, and resurrection of Mashiach. So that's something that we gotta keep in mind, that the Roman Empire was at a high point at the birth, execution, and resurrection of Mashiach. Okay, so if we just stop and think for a minute, then that would mean that at Mashiach's return, something about this empire has to be in play. Because he didn't burn it with fire, did he? He didn't open a can of whoop on it, did he? Well, did he? He didn't, did he? So that means that there's still work that he must do. Okay? We'll look at 3 targets revealed in the Gospels. There are 3 targets that we'll find within the Gospels. Number 1, man-made laws of the Judean faith. Okay, we're talking about that Mashiach targeted. Okay, man-made laws of the Judean faith that overlap, interfere, or supersede Torah. Right? Sadducees, Pharisees. Right? The things that they do, that they say, supersedes the law of the Torah. So that was a target that you find in the Gospels. Another target, all right, that we talked about during Sukkot was the principalities and powers. Why did certain demons or demonic possessed people respond certain ways to Mashiach? Why did one of them say, "Whoa, son of the Most High, son of the El Elyon"? Why do they call him that? The other ones, they had their own different responses. So we looked at, remember Deuteronomy 32, the heritage of Jacob. That's his portion. But now we have the son of Elohim outside of this territory. And they're like, whoa, son of the El Elyon, son of the greatest, highest Elohim, what are you doing here? But that was a target. Man-made laws of Judean faith and the principalities and powers. We have one more target that's touched on a little bit, is Caesar. In your Gospels, 3 targets. The most important was the man-made mess around the Torah. So that's what we get the most dialogue on. And then we have interaction with other things, spirits or demons or whatever you want to call them. And then we have Caesar. Let's turn to Mark 12. Thank you. Mark 12. Verse 13. Mark 12 and 13. And it says, and they sent unto him certain of the Pharisees and of the Herodians to catch him in his words. When they were come, they say to him, Master, we know that thou art true, and carest for no man, for thou regardest not the person of men, but teachest the way of God in truth. Is it lawful to give tribute to Caesar or not? Shall we give or shall we not give? But he, knowing their hypocrisy, and said unto them, Why tempt ye me? Bring me a penny, that I may see it. And when they brought it, and he said unto them, Whose is this image and superscription? And they said unto him, Caesar's. Yahshua answered, saying unto them, Render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to Elohim the things that are Elohim's. And they marveled at him. So Caesar was another contention or target in the New Testament. Okay? All right. John 19. John 19. John 19 and verse 10. Just hallelujah whenever you get there.
Hallelujah.
John 19 and 10, it reads, Thus saith Pilate unto him, Speakest thou not unto me? Knowest thou not that I have the power to crucify thee, and have the power to release thee? Yahshua answered, Thou couldst have no power from above. Therefore he hath delivered me unto thee, hath the greater sin. And from thenceforth Pilate sought to release him, but the Yehudim cried out, saying, If thou let this man go, thou art not Caesar's friend. Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar. Whosoever maketh himself a king speaketh against Caesar. When Pilate therefore heard that saying, he brought Yahshua forth, sat down in the judgment seat in the place that is called the pavement, but in Hebrew, Gabbatha. And it was the preparation of the Passover, and about the 6th hour. And he said unto the Yehudim, Behold, your king. But they cried out, Away with him, crucify him. Pilate said unto them, Shall I crucify your king? The chief priest answered, We have no king but Caesar. So the New Testament gives us targets. The rulership, well, not say the rulership, but the man-made laws, the spiritual aspect, the principalities and powers, and then Caesar. And Caesar. The people were very clear. We have no king but Caesar. Acts 17. Acts 17 and 7. Whom Jason hath received, and these all do contrary to the decrees of Caesar, saying that there is another king, one Yahshua. And they troubled the people and the rulers of the city when they heard these things. Okay, so we see that at the time of Yahshua, that there was a earthly contemporary, okay, or a earthly adversary. And that adversary would have been Caesar. Who was in that position? Because there are different Caesars, right? It's a title. But who is in that position? So, as we usually talk about a cultural context. Thank you.
No, just you want that.
Or cultural context. So cultural context in this era, very important. Who's in power? Rome. Rome's in power. It's for a reason. The Yahweh we serve rises kings, sets kings, establishes nations, crushes nations. So that nation had to be there at that specific time. Okay? At that time, there were strongholds and military garrisons within Judea and Samaria. Right? You'll be reading and then you'll see, well, and the centurion. So in other words, when you go to certain cities, there's going to be an army base. You go to Clarksville, there's an army base there. You go to Killeen, Air Force Army base. You go to Abilene, Dice Air Force Base. So there were military garrisons all throughout Judea and Samaria. Okay, in everything is cultural context. And then this is Rome before it hijacks the faith. So this is Rome before it hijacks the faith. Right? We don't have the Council of Nicaea. We don't have what's that sweet guy's name?
Sweet guy.
Constantine. Right? We don't have him till like 320, right? We don't have him till like early fourth century. You're looking at a Rome after it hijacked the faith. When you see a Roman Catholic Church, this is after it hijacked the faith. But during his time, it hadn't done that yet. But they looked at Caesar as what? King. The book, thank you. Book of Revelation uses descriptive symbolism. Okay, descriptive symbolism. Descriptive language is vivid and specific. Okay, it helps someone imagine a scene he did not witness. So when you read Revelation, Yochanan is doing his best to help you understand what he's seeing. When you read Revelation, Yochanan is trying to help you understand what he is seeing, because you weren't there. It's like someone explaining a dream to you, right? They're trying to give you the best explanation possible. Descriptive comes from the Latin descript, meaning written down. Something that is descriptive uses an account of words to give us a sense of what it's like. Okay, symbolism is a practice or art of using a subject or word to represent an abstract idea. An action, person, place, word, or object can have all symbolic meaning. So when we read Revelation, you got beast and this and horns and this and this, but it's trying to symbolize something. Well, that horn, that means that was a nation. Okay, that head represents this. That represents that. Okay. So the symbolism, the practice or art of using an object or word to represent an abstract idea, an action, person, place, word, or object can all have symbolic meaning. When the author wants to suggest a certain mood or emotion, he can also use symbolism. So something is so terrifying, it's like I saw a dragon. It's so terrifying, I saw a beast with wings and iron teeth. So what he said I saw was so bad, I'm giving the most vivid explanation so that you can know this is bad.
Right.
Hint at it rather than just blatantly saying it. Now some people believe that there was so much, that's why it's in such a coded, written in such a code. Okay. And I guess that's why he said, here is he who has wisdom. All right, let him understand these things. So in turn, I'm not going to be able to see it. But there's a picture.
We shared the PowerPoint in the YouTube link so they can.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So when we see that, so we hear things, we got that like that, huh? Look, what? Huh? What's this about? All right. So even though that was descriptive of the woman and the beast, if you see on your slide that in the European Union, I'm going to say it again, today, the area you live in today, where you live today, right now on planet Earth, there is a woman on a beast. See, that affects you. It was written 81 through 96 AD, but you live today. And today on the earth, something that is big and powerful, European Union, symbol is a woman on a beast. We should all go to Brussels and go check it out. Maybe then we'll believe more. Maybe that put a little more, make your heart beat a little bit harder. Europe gets its name from Europa.
Mm.
A goddess that was some jumped on a bull or on a dolphin or something, and it carried her. And that's how Europe got its name. Point being, there was a woman on a beast in front of the European Union, which is a conglomeration of nations being one.
Wow.
That's why we had a NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. Canada, America, and Mexico. Smooth Bill Clinton, sax playing. Yeah, I smile. Yeah, I hit a little weed. No, I ain't in here. I just blew out though.
He brought it.
It went in your lungs,
He
bro.
brought his nose in.
It went in your lungs, bro. Don't worry about it. But NAFTA, and as we talked about, how many remember Jack Ma when we played last week? Globalization. What'd he say? Nobody gonna stop it, right? Is that not what he said? See, that affects you. Well, let me guess. We got that King Hezekiah. You know, well, at least ain't in my time when the kingdom get taken away. What about your kids, though? And your grandkids, fool? What about them?
Right.
He said, hey, globalization ain't gonna be no stopping it. So remember that train. That's why as the world turns, see, we gotta be right. Because y'all plan gonna unfold, whether or not you're paying attention or not. So, anyway, Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50. Don't get mad, we gotta go through this whole chapter. Go through all the word, go through all of it. Huh? Huh?
The slide. Do I need to turn the slide or not?
You just should say Jeremiah 50.
Okay.
Jeremiah 50, and we'll start in verse 1. Jeremiah 51. The word of the Lord spake against Babylon and against the land of the Chaldeans by Jeremiah the prophet. Declare ye among the nations, and publish and set up a standard. Publish and conceal not. Say Babylon is taken. Bel is confounded. Merodach is broken in pieces. Her idols are confounded. Bless you. Her images are broken in pieces. For out of the north there cometh up a nation against her, which shall make her land desolate, and none shall dwell therein. They shall remove, they shall depart, both man and beast. Now, when we read that, we get an idea of who this word is going against. It's going against Babylon. Okay? And at this time, Babylon has something. What does Babylon have? They have the children of Judah in captivity. That's okay. They have that too now. A lot of it. The children of Judah are in Babylon. Okay? And something for out of the north. Sometimes we see north. That Hebrew word is saphon. Can mean north direction. It can mean hidden. But there's something from the north. Now, in this chapter, we're going to see that as the prophet is speaking by the Ruach and giving what Yah is saying, there are some things that we can say, okay, yeah, this is clearly about Babylon in the 6th century. But then there are some other things that he's going to say. He's like, who are you talking about? What Babylon is he talking about? So we got 1 through 3. He called out the Chaldeans. He called out the gods that worship, the idols, and that it's going to be bad. Now, if we turn the slide, verse 4, it says, in those days and in that time. In those days and in that time. In those days and in that time. The children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together. Did we catch that? In those days and in that time, the children of Israel shall come. Who's in Babylon again?
Judah.
But the book just said the children of Israel and the children of Judah, going and weeping, they shall go and seek the Lord their God. So in those days and in that time, all of the tribes shall leave together, weeping and crying, looking for Yahweh. So if you have the slide, we have the Hebrew up for you. And as we always say, this is why we have to study it. In that time, okay, if we look at it, we look at, and down the Hebrew, it says, by Yamim ha-hema uvaet. So, and in that time, uvaet. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, so let's slide over. Okay, it means time, but it means a planned event. I wonder who did the planning. It's a season. I wonder who establishes the season. I wonder who gets the occasions. And then it says an experience, good or bad. So look at verse 4 again. In those days and in that time, saith the Lord. You know who said it. Yah said it. The children of Israel shall come. They and the children of Judah together. Going and weeping, they shall go and seek the Lord their God. They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come and let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant. Did that happen when the Medes and the Persians came in? But I thought in 51 through 3 it was talking about Babylon, the land of the Chaldeans. Well, he deep up. Jeremiah deep in the spirit that day, ain't he? This man, he's speaking. I'm speaking for 100 years and then about another 1,000 years. Let us join ourselves to the Lord in a perpetual covenant that shall not be forgotten. My people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds have caused them to go astray. They have turned them away in the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. All that found them have devoured them. All that found them have devoured them. All that found them have devoured them. What exactly is he? When did this happen? We haven't had the Persians and the Medes. We haven't had Haman yet. We haven't had the Greeks and Antiochus. We haven't had none of that yet. We hadn't had the Romans yet. All that found them had devoured them. Who? When? What? All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not. We ain't got the air. We ain't got none of that. We offend not because they have sinned against Yah, the habitation of justice, even the Lord of hope of their fathers. Verse 8. Remove out of the midst of Babylon. Haven't we heard that somewhere before? Remove out of the midst of Babylon. Have mercy. Somewhere in Revelation, ain't it? So in Jeremiah 15, remove out of the midst of Babylon and go forth from out of the land of the Chaldeans and be as the he-goats before the flocks. So we can get back specific. It's like Jeremiah's flowing through time as he's speaking. The Bible says where? The land of the Chaldeans. So now it's back to being more specific, right? To this present time that he's in. Verse 9. For lo, I will raise and cause to come up against Babylon an assembly of great nations from the north country, and they shall set themselves in array against her. From thence she shall be taken, their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. Verse 10, and Chaldea shall be a spoil. All that spoil shall be satisfied, saith the Lord. Because you were glad, because you rejoiced, O you destroyers of my heritage. You have grown fat as the heifer at grass, and bellow as bulls. That was 9, or really 8 through 11. We could have a probably deeper discussion. It says in verse 9, for I will cause to come against Babylon an assembly of great nations. Well, we know for sure it was the Persians and the Medes. There's 2. But the book says a what? Assembly of great nations. So Babylon gonna get jumped. Y'all gonna allow Babylon to get jumped. gonna get jumped. You ever seen somebody get jumped before? You ever been somewhere? You outnumbered? So Yah said he said their arrows shall be as a mighty expert man, none shall return in vain. So arrows in that time will be missiles in our time. Just throwing that out there. Arrows in their time will be missiles in our time. And the Chaldeans should be a sport, so we know it is talking about the Chaldeans. Just potentially. Just Well, verse 12. Verse 12. We're going to look at this. Go ahead and turn your slide. Verse 12. Your mother shall be sore confounded. She that bare you shall be ashamed. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, a dry land, and a desert. The hindermost. Go ahead and slide your deal. We have the Hebrew word acharit. So when it says a hindermost, acharit means the after part. It means the end. It means the latter time. Prophecy. Your mother shall be sore confounded, she that bare you. So there's more than one Babylon throughout time. Behold, the hindermost of the nations shall be a wilderness, as a dry land and a desert. Go ahead and slide over. You should see a picture of the military. There was the former president, right, at that time, or imperial dictator, right? And you know what people say when they talk about the Iraqi war? They say that war, after that war happened, that area became a vacuum. It became so wild and out of control. People are left with nothing. They ain't got nothing. And you won't believe this, but there was I won't jump. I'll hold it. Verse 13. Actually, let's scroll down to 16. Verse 16. Cut off the sword from Babylon, and him that handeth the sickle in the time of harvest, for fear of the oppressing sword. They shall turn everyone to his people. They shall flee everyone to his own land. It's going to be a get out party. Get out. I ain't talking about the movie. Israel is a scattered sheep. The lions have driven him away. First, the king of Assyria. So we know what we're talking about here, right? King of Assyria. They devoured who? The children of Israel. And last, this Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, hath broken his bones. Therefore, thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, behold, I will punish the king of Babylon and his land, as I have punished the king of Assyria. Who did Yah punish Assyria with? The Babylonians, yes. So we just talked about this last week, right? The Assyrians got conquered by the Babylonians and a mixture of the Medes. Yah used them. And now the Babylonians are about to be punished. Verse 19. And I will bring Israel again to his habitation. He shall feed on Carmel and Bashan, and his soul shall be satisfied upon Mount Ephraim and Gilead. Okay. Verse 20. In those days and in that time. We see that? In those days and in that time, saith the Lord, the iniquity of Israel shall be sought for, there shall be none. And the sins of Judah, and they shall not be found. For I will pardon them whom I reserve.
Thank you.
So we turn back. So go ahead and, if you can't turn your slide, you should see the verse in English and in Hebrew. Now when we see, I have highlighted there for you, and in that time we have the same what? Uvaet. Okay, uvaet, and really it's just the word et, but it's and, so we have the vav or the wa and the bet. But we see that in a certain time, a certain point, a certain occasion, Yah's going to pardon Leave the remnant as he chooses. The iniquity of Israel, I don't know nothing about it. The sins of Yehuda, what sins? It's kind of like when Red asked Debo about his bite. Debo said, what bite?
What bite?
But that's how y'all gonna be. Adversary gonna be like, well, the sins of Yehuda, what sins?
What's it?
The iniquity of Israel, what iniquity? Go, man, gonna knock him out. Gonna knock, man. Now, let's go down to verse 23. Verse 23. How is the hammer of the whole earth cut asunder and broken? How has Babylon become a desolation among the nations? I have laid a snare for thee. I have laid a snare for thee. I have laid a snare for thee. And thou art also taken, O Babylon. And thou was not aware. So Yah said, I laid a trap. And you didn't know it was a trap. Thou art found and also caught because thou hast striven against the Lord. Thou hast opened his armory and hath brought forth the weapons of his indignation. For this is the work of the Lord God of hosts in the land of the Chaldeans. Okay? So we see talking about the land of the work that he did. Okay? Verse 26. It says, come against her from the uttermost border, open her storehouses, cast her up as heaps, and destroy her utterly. Let nothing of her be left. Come against her. So it's like come against her from the utmost border. So people from nations from far all over. Okay. Now, if you turn over the slide, you should see a map, and it says, verse 26, unified assault. So in the Iraq War, we have the countries that actually had military force on the ground in Iraq, or is in orange. Look at all them countries. America, Australia, Thailand, Philippines, Ukraine, Poland, Germany, UK, Portugal, Spain, woo. Italy. You had some countries who were like, well, I might contribute. I may contribute. And you got some said, I'm not going to touch it. See, that happened in your era. You won't believe while we was over there, the towers fell. And young Bush said, he tried to kill my daddy. You remember when he said that? He tried to kill my daddy. Like, what are you talking about? Are you conscious? No, he's not. But anyway, so point being, in Jeremiah 50, the prophet is going and speaking on things that are happening then and things that will happen later. Things that are about to happen then, things that are going to happen later. So when things that are prophetically that have came to pass or have happened, right, we get this understanding that the world is that the train of Yah is moving on. With or without us, the train is moving on. Let's skip down to verse 31. Verse 31, it says, behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord God of hosts. For thy day is come, thy time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in cities, and it shall devour all around about him. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. The children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. And all of them that took captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Did the king of the Nebuchadnezzar come and gather up people of Judah and the people of Israel? No, he didn't. So verse 33 again. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together. Right. And all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. Yahuwah of the Zebaot. That is his name. he shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he might give rest to the land and disquieted the inhabitants of Babylon. The sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes and upon her wise men. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon the chariots, and upon all the mingled people, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And a lot of times folks say, see, America it's a melting pot. You know, I kind of Googled up, I looked at places in the world that have like the most diverse. You know, we're like in the middle of the pack. There are probably about 15 other countries that are more diverse than we are. So when people want to use emotion and anger and say, see, y'all gonna destroy this place, and America, Babylon's like, well, it's actually we're not the most mingled on the earth.
That's right.
We're not. It's just Google facts. Google facts. So, what does the scripture say versus how you feel?
Right.
What you feel don't matter.
Right.
What does the scripture say? The mingled people that are in the midst of her, they shall all become as women. A sword is upon her treasure, they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up, for it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols. Therefore the wild beasts of the desert will be the wild beasts of the island shall dwell there, and the owl shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. As Yah overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith the Lord, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people shall come from the north, a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. They shall hold the bow of the lance, they are cruel, and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea. They shall ride upon the horses, everyone put in array like a man to battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. O daughter of Babylon. O daughter of Babylon. Didn't we read in Revelation 17 that she is the mother of harlots? You know, like in the old days, the more Western movies, the old Western thing, you know, and you go to the salon, but the salon it's a little shake jump, you know, and you got the main madam, and you got all the other girls, but you got the main madam. My mama, she loved gun smoke. Matt Dillon and Kitty. Well, Kitty, she a madam now.
She was the main man.
She the top notch. All right.
Wow.
So Babylon is a mother of harlots. She got all kind of little daughters running around. A whole bunch of them. And it says, like a man to battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. Verse 43, the king of Babylon hath heard the report of them, and his hands waxed feeble. Okay, getting more specific about literally what happened to the Babylonians and their king. His hands waxed feeble, anguish took hold of him, and the pangs of a woman in travail. I mean, dropped to his knees. Behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan to the habitation of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me? Who will appoint me that time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore he, the counsel of the Lord, that he hath taken against Babylon and his purposes, that he hath proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. Surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make the habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. Okay. If you turn to your slide, you should see the beast. Just typed out the beast. Okay. All right, let's turn to Revelation 17.
Change slide.
You leave it. Be on Revelation 17. So we're back in Revelation 17. We're going to read verse starting in verse 7. So Revelation 17 and 7. And the angel said unto me, Wherefore didst thou marvel? I will tell thee the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carrieth her, which have 7 heads and 10 horns. So Yochanan sees this woman, and he is what? Stunned, amazed, astonishing, in a trance. It could mean maybe, she was, looking like a youthful Jada or Tyra Banks or something. It was something that made him stuck. And he was like, hey, snap out of it. What you in a trance for? I'll tell you the mystery. So Babylon is very appealing. Very appealing. Yochanan is in he's zoning out. He's in, and he's stuck. He said, why do you marvel? I'll tell you the mystery of this woman and the beast that carrieth her. So he was stuck on the woman, didn't realize the monstrosity that she was straddling. The monstrosity she was straddling. Adults should get it. Verse 8, the beast that thou sawest was and is not, shall ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition, and they that dwell on the earth shall wonder, whose names were not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, when they behold the beast that was and is not and yet is. Here is the mind which hath wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth. There are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was and is not, even he is the 8th and is the 7th, and goeth into perdition. Now, the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom. So we talk about the symbolism and being descriptive. So the horns just represented kings, 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, okay, but receive power as receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. So you have the idea that these 10 horns are 10 kings who are not yet. They're not yet. They have no kingdom yet. Not saying they won't, just like not right now at this time. But in another time, in the future time, they're going to have power, and they're going to give it over to the beast. Now, let's scroll over to Revelation 13 and 1. And it's not on the slide. Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and I saw a beast rise up out of the sea. Where'd the beast come up out of?
Out of the sea.
Out of the sea. Having 7 heads and 10 horns. How many heads?
7.
How many horns?
10.
And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear. His feet as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power. The dragon gave him power. The dragon gave him. So this beast that came out of the sea had 7 heads and 10 horns. The horns represent 10 what? Kings. We're not talking about the woman. We're talking about the beast that the woman was straddling. And the dragon gave him power. So who gave the beast power? So we can compare the dragon to the ugly one. So the dragon gave him power, his seat, and great authority. You won't believe this, but Yahshua was fasting. When Yeshua got through fasting, somebody approached him. He had a proposition.
Right.
So then,
Got a proposition for you. So apparently, kings throughout the earth have taken the proposition.
absolutely.
But there are specific kings that make this beast. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. Right? Because he had how many heads? 7. So one of them got wounded. And his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast.
Okay.
And they worshiped the beast, saying, who is like unto the beast? Who is able to make war with him? Was there not a song that the Israelites sang when they crossed the water? And they was like, who can go to war with y'all?
So it's a war versus a dragon.
Verse 5, and there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things, and blasphemy, and power was given unto him to continue 42 months. So this beast, verse 6, and he opened up his mouth and blasphemy against Yah, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. We talked about this before. There was a certain figure in the Tanakh that did something very similar to this for, I think, maybe 40 days, morning and night. Who was that? That blasphemed Yah in the camp of Israel.
Oh, the giant.
Goliath. And you know what? You won't believe what the Israelites said. Who can fight this man? Who can fight him? Who can go to war with him? So nobody want to put that. So this beast in Revelation 13, this first half of this first beast, because this beast came out of the sea. So there's only going to be one who can defeat this beast. Just like there was one who could defeat Goliath. There was only one who could defeat Goliath, and he blasphemed Yah. He blasphemed the camp of Israel.
Right.
This beast blasphemed what the books say, Yah, his name, and his tabernacle, and them that dwell in heaven. And the dragon gave him authority. Verse 7, and it was given unto him to make war with the saints, and to overcome them, and power was given unto him over all kindreds, tongues, and nations. Global. Global. Just played it last week. Jack Ma, Alibaba Group, look them up. Said globalization is here to stay.
Yes.
We're going to get it worked out, but it's going to be running, baby. We all going to be one. We all going to be, and it's going to be great. Show what he said. And all them that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life, and of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patience and faith of the saints. Pause. And we get verse 11. And I saw another beast coming up out of the earth. But the first beast came out of the
sea.
This beast, it says, has 2 horns like a lamb, but spake as a dragon. So this beast is not like the other beast. So it's very descriptive. And he exercised all power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast. So the second beast makes daggum sure that you worship the first beast. Because this first beast had a deadly wound and was healed. Like a resurrection or something. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. He deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. Talking about the second beast. Saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. They should make an image to the beast. Where'd you hear that at? Who went through that?
The Israelites. The golden calf.
Oh, yeah.
There's 2.
And Nebuchadnezzar was the king of
Babylon.
That makes sense.
Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon. They had a great idea. Hey, let's make an image. And when the music's played, everybody bows. Except for Shadrach, Meshach, and one bad Negro. So I ain't gonna do it. You know what they said? They said, well, it is what it is. do what you got to do.
Right.
If he
And,
don't,
and, 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 and then the king said, hey, didn't you throw 3 of them Hebrew boys in there? Mm-hmm.
Walking around.
Well, it's like a 4th one in there, walking around, isn't it, talking and chit-chatting.
Mm.
They don't even smell like smoke.
Mm.
So this second beast will have a declaration or a decree that there must be an image made of the beast. The first beast that came out of the earth. I'm sorry, sea. Thank you. Out of the sea. Second beast came out of the earth. They should make an image to the beast which went and wounded by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast. So the second beast has power to give life to the image of the beast. So we've talked about this for a while now. We're in the era of technology.
Right.
Sophia the robot has citizenship in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
You put a wig on Sophia, and you ain't gonna know it's Sophia. It's the era that we live in. So we live in an era where there could be an android, a robot, and it has life in it. We live in an era now where they got freak shops with robotic sex dolls that talk and speak.
They got a block.
They're supposed to have one in Houston by 2020.
Mm.
There is some a little bit of morality left. People are pro stuff like that. But this is the era that we live in. So when we see an image of the beast, it could be anything. It could be Rosie. It could be R2B2 from Star Wars. It could be anything that they could that they can create and make, and then you worship it because it suits your fancy. Because remember, Yochanan was stuck because of this great whore of Babylon. Because when you've drunk that drink so long, you don't even realize these beasts and what they're doing because you're drunk off this golden cup. You've been drinking out of her cup. She's gotten everybody drunk. And calls that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. He causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive the mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell save that he that hath the mark in the name of the beast or the number of his name. Okay, here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. The number is 666. Okay, so the beast that we read in Revelation 17 that the harlot is straddling is the first beast, not the second beast. It's the first one, not the second one, because it's the first one that had the 7 heads and the 10 crowns. So now we're looking at power. When you see a king, you got to think government, nations. There's a phrase that's somewhat constitutional. There was a separation. There's supposed to be a separation of what? Church and state.
Mm-hmm.
So apparently, we're going to see a joining union of church and state.
Right.
Once again, your adversary, he's going to fight you with these laws.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
He's going to put you in a precarious situation. Let's turn to Daniel's 2nd chapter. That's on your slide there. Daniel 2:31. Thou, O king, sawest and behold a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. The image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and thighs of brass, his legs of iron, and his feet part of iron and part of clay. Till thou sawest, till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet, that were of iron and clay, and break them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floor, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, thou art a king of kings. For God of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And wheresoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven hath he given into thine hand. He hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold. And after thee shall rise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as in much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. So we see each item that he saw in the statue was symbolic. It represented a kingdom. Okay. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, but there shall be in it of the strength of iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves among the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. It says in the middle here, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. So this last part, the toes and the feet that are iron and also clay, are going to mix among the seed of men. Verse 44. And in the days of these kings shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom which shall never be destroyed, and the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces. It shall break in pieces and consume these kingdoms. It shall stand forever. Okay. Now, I read too far, but that's okay. Now, in verse 34, he says, thou sawest, because he interpreted his dream, thou sawest till that a stone that was cut without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and break them. I think Sister had brought up about the stone that Yaakov's head was on, about the cornerstone or the rock of Christ. And then in this dream that this king has, he sees a stone that destroys this image. Scared the mess out of him. Right, we'll talk about that during the feast, I think. Scared the mess out of him. Now, we're going to turn over in your slide, and you're going to see something that is written in an extra biblical source in 2 Esdras. 2 Esdras 13 and 36. And it reads, and Zion shall come, and it shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. So Esdras got a vision, and in his vision, he saw what Daniel interpreted of the king. Because the king woke up. All my magicians and sorcerers and wizards, get in here. Yes, sir. What is it, king? I had a dream and I need an interpretation right now. Okay, what was the dream? I don't remember. Give it to me. All of you dead. And your household. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let make anybody do that. Well, you don't even know what you dreamed. Like, we sure don't know what you dreamed. All of you dead. Well, there might be one that can get down like that. Go find Daniel. So Daniel in the interpretation gets that there was a stone made without hands. It destroyed this image that he sees. And then Esdras, or Ezra, because he's all in Ezra in your regular Bible, and Nehemiah. He gets a vision. He sees the same thing. 2 Ezra 13 and 36. Just on your own time, look that up. Now let's turn to Daniel 7. Daniel 7 and 7. Daniel 7 and 7. After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. It had great iron teeth. Great. What was unique about the statue of the dream that the king had? What was the last part of the statue? Clay and what? Iron. So we know that this last kingdom is represented with iron. Because when we didn't read all of it, but we're just going to look at starting. But he's talking about the fourth beast now. And after this I saw in the night vision, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth. You think of a wild beast animal, and the teeth is straight iron. Crushing, break, it devoured and break in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns. In Revelation, the beast had how many heads?
7.
And how many horns?
10. The beast of the sea.
I considered the horns, and behold, there come up among them a little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. Stay in the same chapter, be in verse 19. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others. So this last beast, this last entity is different from all the ones prior. So Babylon in Revelation is going to be different than all before it. It will be different. And I know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceedingly dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, brake in pieces, and stamped the residue on with his feet. And of the 10 horns that were on his head, and of the other which came up, before whom 3 fell, even the horn that had eyes, and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. I beheld the same horn made war with the saints, and prevailed against them, until the Ancient of Days came. And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So remember, there was a beast in Revelation that spoke a lot of mess. Right? And who's able to go to war with them? So we get our answer in Daniel 7 and 22, till the Ancient of Days comes.
God himself.
Daniel 20, verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all the kingdoms, that shall devour the whole earth, it shall tread it down and break in pieces. And the 10 horns out of this kingdom are 10 kings that shall arise, and another shall rise after them, and he shall be diverse from the first. He shall subdue 3 kings. He shall speak great words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and think to change times and laws. And they shall be given into his hand until that time and times and the dividing of the time. So remember, when we talk about Rome, the Rome that Yahshua dealt with had not hijacked the faith yet. But this last beast, what does it say? And think to change times and laws. And think to change times and laws. So what Yahshua and them dealt with, there was no hijacking of the faith yet. That was a little bit later. Turn the slide, Matthew 24:15. Wherein you therefore shall see the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. Whoso readeth, let him understand. So Yahshua quotes Daniel. He's like, yeah, Daniel got a lot of good stuff. He's like, y'all need to pay attention to Daniel. Okay. All right. Let's turn back to Revelation 13. We read it earlier, but we'll turn back to it. All right, we're going to go to verse 18. So we read this. So remember, there were 2 beasts. One came out of the sea, and one came out of the earth. One had how many heads?
7.
How many crowns?
10.
Or 10 horns? The other one that came out of the earth had how many horns?
2.
And it spoke like a...
Dragon.
Very good. So 2 separate beasts. And the woman that rode, she rode the first beast, didn't ride the second beast. Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast. For it's the number of a man, his number is 666. If you slide your scale or slide, you should see the numbers 666. And then if you slide it one more time, we should see a picture. It says, Vicar, Son of God. Now, in Hebrew, we know that our letters are numbers. And you can take the letters and add them up and get a certain number. Okay? Well, Greek and Latin, exact same thing. So we have a phrase. This is a phrase for the Pope. Vicarius Filii Dei. Vicarius Filii Dei. And they have the numerical value of each letter. And they have the total. And then they have the total added up for you. You can add them up yourself. Okay? Now, in my personal opinion, this is not the only number for these people. Here's one of them for sure, but there's probably some others. But we can track that one down, right? We can track that one down and see that. All right. Let's turn to Ephesians 4. Ephesians 4. Ephesians 4 and 14. Let's start in 13. Verse 13. Till we all come in the unity of the faith and of the knowledge of the Son of God, to a perfect man, to the measure of the stature of the fullness of Christ, that we henceforth be no more children, tossed to and fro, and carried about with every wind of doctrine, by the sleight of men, and cunning craftiness, whereby they lie in wait to deceive. Okay. So the sleight of men, the lies of men, the deceptions of men. Okay. And when he's saying this, he's not just talking about, old Chuck down there on the corner. We're talking about people in high positions, people with authority, right? This is what the great horse sits on. This is what these beasts represent. They don't represent, the minions. They don't represent the pawns on the chessboard, the big pieces. Okay. 1 Corinthians 1. Read this a lot of times, but it'll hopefully make a little bit more sense. 1 Corinthians and 1, my bad. Yeah, I said that. 1 Corinthians 1 and 20. First Corinthians 1 and 20. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of this world? Hath not God made foolish the wisdom of this world? Thank you. Hath God not made the foolish the wisdom of this world? For after that, in the wisdom of God, thanks, son, the world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them that believed. For the Jews require a sign, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. The Greeks seek after wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, unto the Jews a stumbling block, and unto the Greeks foolishness. But unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God, because the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. So now we're about to get an understanding that the Greeks love the wisdom. So the Grecian Empire was before the Romans, right? Because the Yehudim looked at Caesar as what? We only got one king. We got Caesar. So the Romans started ruling after the Greeks. The Romans pretty much copycatted a lot of the Greek stuff. Greeks copycatted a lot of the. If you go back, people copycat the previous regime. So Greeks love wisdom. Now we ain't gonna turn there, but in Daniel, when he got a vision of the he-goat that was so fast the feet never touched the ground, that represented the Grecian Empire, and it covered a lot of ground. And it wasn't just Alexander the Great and his army, but it was also Greek thought. Because by the time you get to the Maccabees, a lot of the Yehudim were Hellenized.
Right.
They were Hellenized, and they embraced Greek thought. Okay, so when I embrace Greek thought, that means I embrace economics, I embrace, obviously, religion, I embrace activities, I embrace education, I embrace everything that you do. All of it. I embrace all of it. So Shaul says, and the Greeks seek after wisdom. So the wisdom of the Greeks, or the wisdom of the world, is foolishness to Yah. Okay? All right. Slide over. Sorcery and witchcraft, you should see. Sorcery and witchcraft. Sorcery and witchcraft. And the root word on the first is pharmakias, which is sorcerer. That means one who prepares or uses magical remedies. One who uses magical remedies. Somebody read Revelation 21:8, please.
Want to read it?
Revelation 21:8.
Okay. Says, but as for the cowardly and untrustworthy, the vile, the murderers, the sexually immoral, those involved with the occult and with drugs.
Those involved with what?
The occult and with drugs. Idol worshippers and all liars. Their destiny is the lake burning with fire and sulfur, the second death.
Okay, so pharmakias means sorcerer, and it's one who practices magic. Last week we showed a picture of a certain entertainer today that's very hot today, right? And someone had a problem with her, right? Didn't her drummer have a problem with her? We had Beyonce and her drummer. And her drummer's trying to press charges because Beyonce's practicing too much witchcraft. So, point being is that the things that the scriptures talk about not to do, people still do them. And they do them in very, 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 very high places. Well, you know, she has her, you know, when she transforms to Sasha Fierce, when she transforms on you. And she lets, you know, Sasha come out and play. So we live in a time where witchcraft, sorcery is at an all-time high. So that's Revelation 21:8. That is the root word sorcerer, pharmakias. The word built off of that is what we know as pharmakia. Pharmakia means administering drugs, poisoning, sorcery, and magical arts. We'll find that in Galatians 5:20, Revelation 9:21, Revelation 18:23. It should be startling to see pharmakias and pharmakia in Revelation, because this is where we get a lot of information about what? Babylon. Because Babylon sits on what? A beast. But these beasts represent what? Nations. And she has this cup that gets everybody drunk, but it's the blood of the saints. Because they are embracing Babylon. Sorcery, witchcraft is highly a part of Babylon. His translation was perfect. It's the complete Jewish Bible said the occult. Let's turn your slide over. What is the occult? Anybody know what that means?
Hidden knowledge, secret knowledge.
Yeah, you probably
Darkness.
yeah. Very good. You probably heard me talk about it, ain't you? What is the occult? The answer. Let's look at Merriam-Webster says. Slide over.
Yes, sir.
That thing you're talking about occult. It just means not revealed. It's a secret. Not easily
Secret society.
apprehended. That's where we're going. Hidden from view or hidden in plain sight. Hidden from view or hidden in plain sight. Right there in front of your face, but you don't know it. But you're a part of it. Come out of her, my people. So this Babylon, as Daniel said, is different than all the other beasts. Because it's a system. It's global. Iron teeth. Iron claws. We have my opinion. We have a Stone Age, a Bronze Age, you have a what? Iron Age.
Industry.
You got an Iron Age. And the last beast had descriptions of being made with iron.
Iron teeth.
Iron teeth, iron feet mixed with clay. When do weapons get more advanced? Iron swords. What about now?
Bullets.
Guns, which is made from steel, which is made from iron. Just my opinion. My opinion. So the occult, so go ahead and slide over. We live in a world dominated by secret societies, organizations, and those who practice the occult. They practice hidden knowledge. It is what it is. There's no reason. We talked about. Well, anyway, it's dominated by these groups, and this occult is what Paul is talking about in 1 Corinthians. The wisdom of the Greeks is foolish. But when we look at the wisdom of the Greeks, Grecian thought, it goes back to the Persians, it goes back to the Babylonians, the Assyrians, the Egyptians. It goes back to a particular person who we're going to close with. It goes back to Nimrod. It goes all the way back to him. Just turn the slide. Turn your slide. Revelation 17:5. And upon her forehead was a name written: Mystery. Mystery. Mystery Babylon. Mystery Babylon. So this Babylon that you got to flee from is a mystery. Oh, it's America. Oh, it's the head slaves. Oh, it's the Rome. Oh, it's Mecca. It's it mystery Babylon, which had John stuck. Had Yochanan stuck. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. Slide over. Slide over. I'm going to keep putting this in your face now. JFK, a real person. There is a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose the plot. Pop his head like a balloon in broad daylight. And there was no justice. Well, I mean, they had a patsy. I mean, somebody went to jail for it. So it wasn't, so out of all the stuff, the issues he had, that's what he said. So this is the occult. This is a part of Mystery Babylon. Yahshua said, swear unto, swear not. But what's the part of the secret organizations and groups? You got to take an oath, don't you? So it's not the little Joe Blow. It's the people in high places. It's the people that make laws. It's the people that make decisions. People that control your money. People that control governments. People that control banks. This is all a part of Mystery Babylon. Slide over. You want to know how close you are to a chip? Check out your credit card or your debit card. At one point, your debit card and your credit card didn't have it, did it?
No.
And you won't believe what they told you. They said, hey, everybody's got to get a brand new card because of all of the hacking and all of the information stealing.
Right.
So this chip is so encrypted, it's so super secure. Then what you calling me for saying that somebody used my card in Bermuda?
All right.
Before and after the ship.
Did they ask you that? Did your bank ask you permission? No, they didn't. Here, sign this, we'll send you this. That's your money. But this Babylon is a mystery. And it sits upon kings. I'm sorry, it straddles kings. Talk about this next time till the beast get tired of it. Beast got tired of it. Beast threw off, burnt it with fire. Which opens the door to give the power to one. So you're going back to Nimrod. Once again, the Gospels point things out. Yahshua had to deal with crazy religious leaders of the Judeans, powers and principalities, and Caesar. From the Tanakh, there was issues of the Watchers, there was issues of the garden, and there was a Tower of Babel. Because the world was what? One. Under one king called Nimrod. One. And these beasts, or these kings, are going to give their power to one. So the whole guy get out the way. Is that not what the book said, though? She was straddling, and the beast threw her off and burnt her with fire. You got to go. Jezebel got to go. Slide over. No, everybody got $20 in their pocket. What God do you think they're talking about? Once again, you got to see how deep it gets. You know what? That building's Capitol Hill, right?
Yes.
Slide over. Origin of Capitol Hill. You look it up for yourself. Capital in Latin, Capitolorum. Ancient temple of Jupiter. Of Capitoline Hill in Rome. That's what they would go up to the hill to go worship at the high place. See how stuff is just repeated? See how it's repeated? The high place. They will go up to the hill. And you won't believe this. I grew up, there was a song on ABC after school. I'm just a bill down on Capitol Hill.
Right.
So Babylon is a global system that is diverse from all the other beasts, and it crushes out the saints. There's some that are enamored with Babylon. They'll do anything. I already said it, but Genesis 11:1. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and read it. Genesis 11:1. We're about done. Genesis 11:1, and the whole earth was of one language and of one speech. One language, one speech, one mind, one desire to go to war with somebody. That this next time, the next time this happens, you're going to get what you asked for. This next time, you're going to get what you asked for. You're going to get it. So, y'all go ahead. What he say, the prophet was a Joel, or he said, you take your plowshares and your garden stuff and beat in the sword. He said, I'm going to give you time. I'm going to give you time to get weapons and get master. I'm going to look, y'all tell them whatever you want to tell. You fallen, you reprobate angels. You give them what they, help them build the greatest stuff. Get your stuff together.
Man, it's still a rap.
I'm going to give you time to get yourself together. Either two, you're going to repent, you're going to get this butt whooped. You're going to repent and get this butt whooped. We talked about the other day that he truly tarried that people will repent. All right, turn the slide over.
Yes, sir.
Bacchus. Anybody heard of Bacchus? You have? Anybody heard of Bacchus? Bacchus was the Roman god of agriculture, wine, and fertility. When you see fertility, it means a lot of humping and sexual stuff. Copied from the Greek god Dionysus. Dionysus was said to be the last god to join the 12 Olympians. Now, supposedly, Hestia gave up her seed for him. His plants were vines and curling ivy. He carried a pine cone top staff. His followers were goat-footed. What did we learn during the feast when Yahshua stayed at Caesarea Philippi? That was where the Pan worship was. The goat god. You know, the Baphomet, the statue here in America has been floating around. Oh, you know, it's where you live now. Like that's here. Y'all, you don't watch Peter Pan and the Lost Boys. That's where that come from. And his fathers were goat-footed, satyrs and Manads, wild women who danced energetically during his festivals. Well, you a fine little thing when you back that thing up.
Amen.
So there's nothing new under the sun, man. That's Bacchus. Now, well, I don't do that. This how deep the game go. Who got a degree? You wanna know what your bachelor's degree come from? Bacchus. You won't believe this. Before you get married, what we do, man? You have a bachelor's party. And just a night of drinking and rivalry before you jump the broom.
Having a Bacchus party.
It's a Bacchus party. That's where that come from.
I done had one.
Say that last one, Kelly. I can't pronounce that. Baccalaureate.
Baccalaureate.
Before the graduation, baccalaureate.
Say it again.
Baccalaureate.
Baccalaureate graduation. Now, this is what they say about Bacchus. Bacchus is supposed to be the son of Jupiter or Saturn. So this is why when you have these ceremonies, you have all these ceremonies, what are you supposed to wear?
Oh, the robe.
What color is the robe?
It just depends on the university. I'm
Black.
Yeah.
Traditional.
Yeah.
Black. And you have to cross over your tassel because you go to and you won't believe this, that represents, we've heard of this, Saturn. There was a certain time where you have in Rome was called what? Saturnalia.
Right.
So the practices of Bacchus take it to the day, Saturn. So these people worshiping Saturn and Jupiter, they're worshiping Satan. So all these nations have all these little things that originate from somebody else, from somewhere. And it's ingrained in this society. So Babylon is a system. Now, I'm not saying that there's not a place that sits on 7 hills. Rome sits on 7 hills, you understand? Mecca sits on 7 hills, you understand? But there are probably about 70 other places that sit on 70 hills on the globe. I'm just saying. Slide the page over. Another aspect of Bacchus. Buttocks worship is an all-time high. I forgot the numbers, but there are more butt injections today than in any other time. Am I
Right.
butt worship?
Everybody want big butt.
Butt worship today. This is
Uh-oh.
so this is for the younger people that do the
The twerking, both
Twerking.
hands twerking.
well that the Instagram and all that stuff and the Instagram models, right? Yeah, so the poses, and so this is so we are talking about this beast of baptism. Remember, it's different, it's diverse than all of the beasts. I ain't put no gun up to your head. I ain't taking, but it's so ingrained in the system. It's a part of society. So these aspects of the occult, hidden knowledge, because you don't know, right? That's what people in the Masonic Lodge will call us infidels, because we don't know anything. They leave their police badge, their judge robe when they go inside the lodge. That's why there's a black and white check. Magic. But what's a big part of Babylon? Sorcery. So medicine, worship. You want to know why there's kids kidnapped and pedophilia rings? Hello? It was legal back in antiquity times. So this is where we're going. Slide over. Practice of magic has never ended. It's never ended. Genesis 30 and 27 in our Torah portion. It's fitting for today. We talked about it today, Genesis 30 and 27. And Laban said unto him, I pray thee, if I have found favor in thine eyes, tarry, for I have learned by experience that the Lord hath blessed me for my sake. That Hebrew word is nachash. And nachash, it means divination. So Laban practices magic, divination, enchantments. And in 2018, divination, enchantments, witchcraft, sorcery, blood drinking, pedophilia, cannibalism are at an all-time high. And an all-time high. Continues to turn. And Yah's going to allow these things to happen. They must happen. Romans 1. Romans 1st chapter. Verse 20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that, when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing them to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God to an image made like corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through their lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves. This is a part of the occult. The things that are practiced within. The different, in order to do certain magic, okay, they are very sexual. I'll just say that. This is how these things are practiced. That's just what they do. Who changed the truth of Elohim into a lie and worshiped and served the creature more than the creator. That's why when people worship the Baphomet or Pan or the goat god, an animal that's got hooves but it's like a man. That's what he just said. Verse 23, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like a corruptible man. Exactly what he said. We've seen My Little Mermaid. But the sirens, that's so all these things is in your Bible. This is the occult. This is a heavy aspect of Babylon. You can go into the economic system, which obviously the banking system, which we can go into the governmental system, and go on all this different stuff. But when he says come out of her, so now we understand why Paul says something like, hey, walk by the Spirit, not by the flesh. Yahshua's like, when they're like, hey, do we give tribute to Caesar? Give unto Caesar the things of Caesar. Give unto Yah the things of Yah. This is how we survive this last stage. How are we supposed to survive and not get drunk off this great whore until this whore is destroyed? Verse 26, for this cause God gave them up to vile affections. So it means it's disgust. They do eat wicked stuff. For even their women did change their natural use into that which is against nature. Slide over.
Coexist.
Gonna slide it in nice and smooth on you. Very, very peaceful.
So you see it right there.
Gonna be very peaceful. But all those signs and symbols, that's what you would call the occult. A hidden knowledge of something that's hidden. And it's right in your face, but you don't know it, so you just kind of move on. You just can't kind of roll on, stroll on. Slide over. Should see 2nd Ezra. 2nd Ezra 12 and verse 9. For thou hast judged me worthy to show me the last times. And he said unto me, this is the interpretation of the vision. The eagle, whom thou sawest come up from the sea. Come up from where?
The sea.
From where?
The sea.
Was there a beast in Revelation that came up from the sea?
Second one. The first one.
Good job. No, you said. The eagle with whom thou sawest come up from the sea is the kingdom which was seen in the vision of thy brother Daniel. But it was not expounded unto him. Therefore now I will declare it unto thee. 2nd Ezra 12, 9 through 12. And you slide over. We will pick up. We're going to have to go into 2nd Ezra. The more I look at Ezra, the more I see why it was taken out. A long time ago, you would hear that the apocryphal books were not inspired or not,
Right.
but when you read it, it's like, well, what's different from this and Daniel, and what's different from Daniel and Revelation? And Ezra is who we see going back and establishing the temple, coming out of Persia after the Babylonians were destroyed. So he has insight on that. He gets a lot of visions, and we're going to look at some of the things. From that, we're going to go after Jeremiah. I think it was Jeremiah 51. We're going to finish up some things in Revelation, and I didn't want to try this a lot of stuff, and I didn't want to just try to put it all in one. It's a lot of stuff, especially when we look at where we are today, and when we look at the world that we live in, and the tactics of the adversary. Right? Nobody got a gun up to your head, but there is a chip on your card, and you didn't ask for it. You did not ask for it. They thought it was best for you. Someone made a decision on Capitol Hill. Somebody made a decision. So when we talk about Babylon, and we just pulled out a few things. Jupiter worship. Saturn is like a little black cube. You won't believe what's in Mecca. When you go make your journey to Mecca and you go touch the rock, inside the rock supposed to be a black cube.
Right.
So Babylon was described as the mother of harlots. She got all kind of little babies running around this planet. And people are stuck in and hooked up in it, hook, line, sinker. And Yah saying, for my people, come out of her. Separate yourself. Become not defiled with that. Don't get drunk off a drink. Don't fall asleep. So that is, as the world turns, part 3, the golden cup of Babylon. We will pick up next week, and we'll just kind of be on this until y'all get. I guess y'all want us to move on. But we had talked. I think we showed a sign and wonder with the snake and the pigeon on the western wall, right? And that's but it's not. It doesn't have to be a sign and wonder of the scriptures, right? But we know that the false one will have what? Signs and wonders. So when we see them, we got to be cognizant of what's going on. And the whole purpose of that was that they were going to, that made the people in Israel, the Israelis, believe that Mashiach was coming. So we are told that there are many antichrists, many false ones. Many more shall come. So they're expecting someone to come. They're trying to get the temple established. And a lot of times the people of the Most High God are worried about stuff that ain't got nothing to do with nothing. So, that being said, Almighty Yah, we thank you for this word. We thank you, Yah, for putting it on our hearts and minds and wanting your people to be prepared and ready and not to be deceived. Almighty, there are so many things on this earth that are dark and that are wicked, and you care for your people, and you love your people, and you don't want your people to get wrapped up in foolishness, as you say in your word in 1 Corinthians. So Yah, I pray that we will be mindful of our day-to-day activities, our day-to-day living, that we are sacrificing our flesh, that we are getting stronger and stronger, as Pastor Battle's been preaching on the faith, day by day, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. We're getting stronger in the faith. That when we are put in the position of a Daniel or a Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, or any of the ancestors that were put in a position where they had to stand, that we will have the faith to stand, and that you will hear our call, Yah, because it's recorded in our word. Whatsoever thing is written aforetime is written for our learning, through the comfort and the patience of the scriptures, that we might have hope. You came to aid of so many people, Yah, who were in the midst of captivity, and you came to their aid. And Yah, we are in a time of a diverse of the other beast, Almighty Yah. And Yah, we will need you in these times. And if not my day, then our baby's day. And if not our baby's day, our baby's day, Yah. So may we keep in mind the things of the world that are going on, and how you want your people to be led by the Spirit. That you will guide us and teach us and bring things back to our remembrance, Almighty Yah. And we thank you for exposing the darkness in high places. Yah, you've called us to shine a light, Almighty Yah, and your light is so good that it shines high and it shines low. So Yah, we thank you and we praise you. We just ask that you will grow all of us by the Ruach, that we may all have more fire within, that we can keep ourselves in check, that we can keep our temples in check, and that we can be a blessing to others, Almighty Yah, but that we may also be protected from the system. From the Babylonian system, Yah, that is going to pursue after the saints, to crush the saints, to drink the blood of the saints, Almighty Yah. So Yah, we thank you for warning us and preparing us, Yah, and I pray that we take all things to heart. We take nothing for granted. We take all things to heart. So Yah, we praise you and we thank you. Ask you to be with the brothers and sisters as we all go back to our respective places, Almighty Yah. Help us to keep the word close. Yah, open up our spiritual eyes so we may see what we need to see, Almighty Yah. Help prepare us for a bigger battle, Almighty Yah. Help prepare us. Help us to be ready to fight and serve you, Almighty Yah. Yah, we just thank you and we praise you. For there's none that's like you. There's none that stand beside you. In Yahshua HaMashiach name we pray. Amen and amen. Shabbat shalom.
I'm about to turn it off.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Peace to all the people, all the tribes of Israel. Everybody hang in there and hang on to the faith. And we don't want to be crazy, and not everything is a crazy, kooky conspiracy. But our adversary has used the people in high places. He offered them the same thing that he offered Mashiach, and a lot of them said yes. Therefore, we live in a world that is not what we think it is. It's not what we think it is. And I think it was maybe Nero or another emperor said, give them games and give them bread to keep them distracted. And that's what we do. We watch games and we eat bread. And so I just pray y'all that y'all will help us open our eyes and not be deceived, not be drawn away by the flood of the dragon. He spews out water and tries to knock us off the rock. And Yahshua said to stay on the rock, no matter the water or the wind. We got to stay on the rock, and that rock is Mashiach. Don't let nobody knock you off the rock. So with that being said, peace to all the tribes of Israel, all the believers of the faith. Shalom.